17 is like, so I go,
I know.
yeah, but they're pure Mormon, you know.
Yes,
Yeah, no education, no education was in the faith.
yeah, right.
And everything outside of the faith was
Wow.
not God's will.
Oh, I understand. Is that what you're saying?
No happens, sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Good. I'd like to read that story.
Yeah, I'll remind you.
Okay, that's good. Definitely.
I guess you guys
It's a fascinating story.
well, I saw it. Yeah. A lot of people.
She doesn't give herself any credit.
Because getting off the Cambridge and all that. Boy, that's.
So I was trying to get time.
One paper for the scholarship, her first signature. She won a college scholarship. That was the topic. She had to write an essay. Professor, she's learning about her, not knowing it. She said, I've never seen this person in my life.
That is
Right, she said,
boy, that is absolutely fascinating.
forcing her to be somebody, you know?
That's the kind of a story I like to read.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I just returned
Hello.
from the Manchester trip up to Yukon.
Just steer yourself in.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'll keep my foot in so you don't take it off. Too bad the weather wasn't, but that didn't really matter. That really didn't matter. And when we were out there,
Thank you, ma'am.
it was lovely. So we did two which I didn't
And so we need to take your garden.
that was fabulous. Then we went to the Republic.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
All you wanted to know about public were her dad.
Oh, we have to get
And
this.
then, we always
How can I get it down? If I don't get it,
Are you familiar with that campus at all? Okay.
Right.
Really terrific. It really is.
oh, I don't.
It is for me. I have no idea. No intention of getting another credential.
I hear you.
So it's pulled down or his hair out with all of the
No,
green
she went back
houses
to school at 50.
gardens.
No, I understand that.
I got her degree.
Good news is,
Yeah.
an arborist.
That's not professional.
She was number one.
Yes.
And you,
Yes, it needs pruning.
Good. Anyway,
you got more work.
there's the
for you.
professor. Professor, sir.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Hey, I want to tell
Well,
you.
that's the big thing, because that is such a piece of that whole, yeah, that area.
And then I
I'm making
That's great.
they was over in the hospital.
Okay.
Spotted it.
That's because I didn't restrict it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
But as far as the other, not take the 30 or take it off the cap.
Take it off. I don't, I do not want it to go
No,
off.
I think after you explained, I think it makes more I mean, I don't want anybody to feel like, okay, well, we appreciate
It
that.
would really piss me off if they did that. I think we all got that feeling too yesterday, right?
Yeah, well, that's why we talk about this.
Yeah, I know. No, but,
It's because it allows us to hear or to do another.
Can't read it.
and that's what I'm here for,
Definitely.
as the president.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like, it's a better alternative. I just didn't want to do that. So we should-
Yeah.
You have to put it back on, you can't do that. That's
get over there.
there are dollars to
Yeah, so I understand.
6 and 1/2 doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Howie.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay. I've been good educated.
So we can stay tall.
I hope so.
There is an exam.
Take good notes.
stacking. High school, college. Make sure I do We had about 60
That is.
Hi there, Mike. How are you, good sir? We had, I had 80 students in my class. And then we picked up 10 transfers
Let me do a mic check here. I checked it several times before, but you never know with these things. Louder? Is that better? Is that?
Try it again.
Hello, louder, louder. Way too loud. Oh God, that hurt my ear.
Is that better?
Testing, testing. Perfect, good. Well, hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. I hope this is a good educational session for you. I hope that you've learned a lot about the foundation. You know, since I started here over a year ago, you know, over the course of several months, and you get to know more and more people, you get a lot of questions. And, you know, for a while I didn't have a lot of the answers. I'm sure. But now I feel like I've got a lot more of the answers that have, you know, and there's one thing I've learned is that there's so much about the foundation here that people either don't know or don't understand. So this is an effort to maybe clear that up a little bit. This is not the only one of these I want to do. I want to do more of these over time, especially as we start talking about, capital campaign and things like that. This is a chance for both of us to, get to, me to get to know you all better and you get to know me better and ask whatever questions are on your mind. So let's get started. I call this the Duncaster Foundation 101. That's the old teacher in me, I guess. Let's start with a little history. In the early 1980s, the Hartford area business leaders created Duncaster, a new life care retirement community to offer older adults financial security, health care services, and opportunities for ongoing engagement. Here's some key events. September 1980, the first official meeting of the Hartford retirement community. April of 1981, the 72-acre site was selected. February 82, approval of the site plan by the town of Bloomfield. July of 82, approval of a 60-bed skilled nursing community by the Connecticut Commission of Hospitals and Healthcare. May of 84, we become the first CCRC in Greater Hartford, and the residents move in. And this year we celebrate our 40th. October 84, the first meeting of the Duncaster Residents Association. And here's one that I'm particularly interested in, May of 1994, the first meeting of the Duncaster Foundation. So Duncaster is celebrating its 40th this year. The foundation is celebrating its 30th. August 99, the purchase of an additional 15 acres of land for future development. That's the land that out here that is being proposed for building apartments. Louder?
That way.
What?
The land is that way.
What did I say?
You went that way.
Okay, well, whichever way it is. So what is the Duncaster Foundation? It was established as a 501c3 nonprofit organization that exists to benefit, assist, and further the purposes of Duncaster, Inc. by soliciting and receiving charitable gifts, contributions, grants, bequests, etc. So it was created by residents to benefit residents, basically, and to support Duncaster, Inc. There are two nonprofits here, well, three counting the DRA, but what I'm talking about today is Duncaster. There's Duncaster, Inc., and there's Duncaster Foundation, Inc. We'll talk about that. So how does the Duncaster Foundation support Inc., as we call it? I like to tell people that Duncaster, Inc. is the operational side of the organization. It's the business side, if you will. It's the part that controls the monthly service fees, pays the utilities. It's the business operational side of Duncaster. The foundation, however, exists to provide a margin of excellence that goes beyond just the essentials. I remember years ago when I was working for a university, and I had a donor, rather wealthy donor actually, say, I give my small donation to the university every year, so why do we need to do something beyond that? And we were about to go into a campaign, and I told him something because I had learned this from another person, and it just resonated so strongly with me, and that is that at a school, tuition and whatever can only provide the basics. It can only provide subsistence, but there's a tremendous difference between subsistence and excellence. And I think the foundation is all about providing that standard of excellence. So over the years, various funds have been established to accomplish this goal. We all know what a fund is. Fund is a pool of money that is allocated for a specific purpose. Simple as that. Let's start with the endowment fund. Started in 1999. Well, the endowment is all about the future, saving for the future. The purpose of the endowment is to grow over time and offset the operating expenses of Doncaster, Inc., and enhance the quality of life for our community. Currently, our current investment policy allows the annual endowment fund distributions of up to 5% based on the prior 20 quarters average to support the basic operations of Doncaster. In the fall, the CFO will run numbers and will make a request to the foundation board of whatever percent, 4.5% is usually pretty typical. And it's reviewed by the foundation board, has to be approved before it can be implemented. The Cayman Fund. Wow. As many of you know, I love history. I mean, anybody who's come to some of my history classes probably figured that out. And I love to read biographies, stories of people's lives, just the people, some of the people you never even hear of. But everybody's got a story. That's one thing I've learned about history. If you look at the word history, you also see the word story. Well, Dr. Cayman sure had a great story. He moved to Doncaster in 1993. He loved playing bridge, reading, and travel. This guy, so he starts out at Yale, then he goes to Columbia Medical School, and then that wasn't enough. He decided he had to go to Harvard Law School. Other than that, he wasn't really busy. But I don't know how he pulled all that off, but he was quite a guy. And today, the Cayman Fund is part of our endowment. And it resulted from his 1994 Charitable Remainder Trust, which is a form of planned giving, with a date of death value of approximately $2.1 million. Special funds. So we're going to move now from the endowment to what we call special funds. And we all know what these funds are. You'll recognize them as we go through them. But it's a series of funds that were set up over time for certain specific programs to benefit you, the residents. Let's start with the Residents Assistance Fund, started in 1990. This fund provides financial assistance to residents whose assets have been depleted through no fault of their own, and who may need help paying their monthly service fee. Residents receive the support privately, very privately. I don't know who they are. It's reviewed by Kelly, Rob, and a committee. But even the committee members don't know who the people are. They just look at the numbers. Kelly and Rob are really the ones who know the identity, and it's never disclosed. So they do so privately with no fear of embarrassment. And it's discreetly helped many residents stay at Doncaster over the years. It's a great fund. What used to be called the Community Fund is now called the Doncaster Enhancement Fund. The Foundation Board voted last year to change the name of it. They thought that Community Fund sounded like we were giving money out into the community. And we do have a fund that's called the Community Outreach Fund that does that. And so some people were thinking, well, that Community Fund and Community Outreach is too confusing. So they came up with the idea of calling it the Doncaster Enhancement Fund, which I think is actually a better description, because that's what the funds are for, to enhance Doncaster. So it was established to provide resident-requested additions, improvements, equipment, or projects that will enhance the quality of life for residents. Again, this fund is made up of a committee, and as requests come in, they review the request, and if they vote to approve it, it gets approved. The Caleb Hitchcock Healthcare Center, or Health Center, set up in 1990. This fund covers the cost of special programs, interior and exterior improvements, and other support for residents in Dogwood, Cedar, and all the neighborhoods of the Caleb Hitchcock Health Center. Here's one that's very near and dear to a lot of people. The Employee Education Fund, set up in 1998. This fund provides educational assistance to employees seeking to continue their education and service to Doncaster. Both healthcare and administrative staff are allowed to apply for funding for assistance for such things as tuition, books, etc. And it helps make them a better employee. And as we all know, any organization is only as good as the people who are working for you. So it's a great fund. It's helped numerous students, and they're all so grateful for the assistance they get. It's tremendous. I've talked to a lot of them. The library fund. This fund supports the long-term special and future needs of the library. The goal of this fund is to simply ensure that the library will continue into perpetuity, allowing it to change the way it operates to accommodate future needs. Here's another great one, the Hubbard Fund, set up in 2001. It was created by the family of Margaret and David Hubbard in their honor to be called the Peggy and David Hubbard Award Fund. And the Hubbards instructed that each year awards of $500 are to be made to 2 Doncaster employees in recognition of their exemplary service to the residents of Doncaster. One award is extended to a healthcare or clinical employee, and the other goes to a general support staff or non-clinical employee. And there you see a picture of Mike and Raphael, who were the recipients of the award last year. The Employee Fund. This fund was established by a $1 million gift from an anonymous donor to assist Doncaster in attracting and retaining the best possible personnel and for ensuring competitive salaries for all departments, top to bottom within Doncaster. And each year, the HR department comes up with a number that they request as a distribution as part of their annual budget cycle. And the Music and Program Fund assists the Resident Services Department by providing ongoing support for entertainment, including music, dance, theater, and lecture programming. Today, I think that fund has become increasingly more and more important, especially in the post-COVID-19 world that we live in, because there were so many studies that were made saying that one of many negative effects of the pandemic was isolation. And the Music and Program Fund encourages that socialization. It provides that opportunity for people to get out and talk to each other and communicate and keep that brain active instead of just being secluded. That's one of the benefits of it. So it's set up in 2012. It's what helps provide the great programs that we get here, and Donna does a tremendous job on all these different programs. One key question that I get quite often is, okay, what's the difference between a restricted and an unrestricted fund? Well, let's start with a restricted fund. A donor may have a unique idea for a gift. They say, how about this or how about that? These funds are established and maintained for a specific project or expense as approved by the Foundation Board. A great example would be a gift that was made a couple of years ago for a pickleball court. That was put into a restricted fund. An unrestricted fund gift is quite the contrary. It comes without conditions. It means that the nonprofit can basically use the gift in any way it wishes to further the mission. But it does give the foundation flexibility to deploy particular resources for a particular need. A good example would be a couple of years ago, the unrestricted fund was used for the DEI initiative. So if someone doesn't specify which fund they want a gift to go to, it does go to the unrestricted fund. But we always tell people, give where you're passionate. give for the program or area that you're most passionate about. That's what we really want to see. But if unrestricted, if you say put it to the area of greatest need, that's fine too. Let's look at some of the balances of these funds. As of December 31st, you see that the Residence Assistance Fund has a little over, had about $12,000 in contributions last year from our annual appeal, with a fund balance of a little over $2 million. And then the Employee Fund follows there. And the Harlow Savage Dementia Research Fund, that is a program you're going to hear more and more about. The Savage Fund was made possible by a guy named Harlow Savage, whose wife unfortunately passed away at the Caleb Hitchcock Center from dementia. And he left a very generous gift to Doncaster to set up a dementia program. And over the last year, I have become very, very good friends with the Savage's daughter, who teaches at Dartmouth Medical School. And her name is Dr. Seddon Savage. And we have now, we've come up with some new programs. You've heard Amy talk about the Live Well program. That's going to be run out of this. The unrestricted fund, pretty strong. It's about $600,000 or so in that fund. Library fund, about $350,000, and you see restricted funds combined, and there are several, totaling about $310,000. Caleb Hitchcock, employee education, right on down the line to the Doncaster Enhancement Fund. You see that the Music and Program Fund is the lowest. So if you are looking for an area to really make a difference when you do your annual appeal gift this year, if you're looking for something to really help out, that would be a good one. But they're all good. Our endowment fund. As of 12/31, a little over $12 million. With the Cayman Fund, another 5.7. So that gives us almost $18 million for our endowment. That's a very strong endowment. That's a lot stronger than a lot of organizations like Doncaster have. That is what helps add stability to our future. That is all about the long term of this organization, growing that endowment. Let me talk a little bit about the basics of fundraising, and it'll be very simple because I could be up here all day talking about how does fundraising work, but I want to give you at least a snapshot. There are really three kinds of gifts for any organization, whether it's a nonprofit like Doncaster or a college or university. There are really three kinds of gifts: annual gifts, major gifts, and planned gifts. Let's start with annual gifts. They're typically support operating or special funds, such as the funds that we just discussed. Typical gift size are small to medium. Typical prospects, loyal, current constituents. The fundraising process is more concise to ensure giving during a specific time frame. And the best timing is a regularly scheduled appeal, like we do here at Doncaster every year, which will be going out in the next few weeks. And then there are major gifts. Those are typically gifts for capital projects and special needs. The typical gift size, well, it varies, depending on what your organization defines as a major gift. Typical prospects are donors who have an interest or a passion for a particular organization or a program area. The fundraising process is longer. It is a longer horizon. It's not like an annual appeal. And it's typically during a focused campaign. The timing is opportunistic, and it's usually part of a strategic plan. Then there are planned gifts. Oftentimes you see planned gifts and endowment often go hand in hand. But the gift size can vary. There's a misconception about planned gifts. People think that planned gifts are only for older people who are very, very wealthy. That's not true at all. I have numerous planned gifts. I'm not, well, I won't get into my age, but anyway. I'm 60, but almost 60. And but I'm not wealthy, I can tell you that. And but I've made numerous provisions for organizations that I'm fond of in my will. So it's not just for people who want to have a 6 or 7 figure gift. And not all plan gifts are deferred either. A lot of them are, but they're not all deferred. And there are all kinds of ways to do plan gifts. The typical fundraising process it's ongoing. It's a longer solicitation, cultivation process. When you talk to someone about wanting to make a gift after they're gone to a particular organization, that's not a transaction. That's a relationship-driven conversation that takes time. And because for a person to do that, they have to have a very high level of commitment to that organization. But the best timing is again, what I just said, they're lifelong. You know, there are a lot of people who make plan gifts at all age groups. Most plan gifts are for people who are age 65 and over, but not all, not by any means. So what is a capital campaign? Boy, I've heard that question a lot lately. Well, there's one thing I want to definitely clear up today, but that has not been communicated as well as it probably should have. And that is the capital campaign that we're going to soon commence in the coming months is all about right here. Just remember, if you don't remember anything else from this workshop, remember this. The capital campaign is about here. The expansion is about, which way, Amy? Which way? Over there. That's, a lot of people have said, well, I don't want to make a gift for a capital campaign. I don't want to, give money to help build somebody else's apartment. I completely agree. And so does the foundation board. We discussed that at yesterday's meeting. So don't confuse those two. The capital campaign is about renovations that are here, such as building a new performing arts center, renovations to the fitness area, renovations to this room, which it really needs, dining options, and a lot of other things. Well, I love history, so I have got to give you a little history. I bet you never wondered about the history of capital campaigns. I bet you never stayed up late at night saying, wow, I wonder what is the history of a capital campaign. Well, believe it or not, it goes way back to the book of Exodus. Chapter 25 tells a story of how Moses, around 1500 BCE, started a fundraising campaign to get materials and skilled volunteers to build a tabernacle or a meeting tent for the Jewish people to worship God. The appeal was very successful. In fact, Moses actually had to tell people to stop donating. That's a good problem to have. The project took about a year to complete. Let's go a little bit beyond that. In the Old Testament, book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29, tells the story of how King David, around 970 BCE, organized a capital campaign to build a permanent temple for the Jewish people to worship God in Jerusalem. He even made his own lead gift and a challenge appeal. Historians believe that the money raised from this campaign is estimated to be the equivalent of about $400 million in today's dollars. That's tremendous. So what are the characteristics of a capital campaign? To sum them up, it's a capital campaign is very different than an annual appeal. A capital campaign has got a more narrowly defined focus. It's about certain priority areas that an organization is focusing on, rather than just a broad menu of things. It has a specific financial goal. There's a time frame for meeting the goal. You can't have a successful campaign without a dedicated group of volunteers. And there's a focus on raising major gifts. Does that mean that, we expect everyone to step up and give a huge gift? No. Not everyone will participate in the capital campaign. Not everyone can afford to do that, and that's understandable. But for those who can, there's definitely a focus on major giving, because these priority areas are pretty big ticket items. And there's always a plan for recognition, such as a donor wall of honor where you list the people who participate in your campaigns, things like that. There you go. Have I bored you to tears? Questions, comments, thoughts?
It's on the foundation board.
We have one gentleman right here. Dale Richter's on it. Bob Good is for residents. Dale, Bob, Herb Hershenson. Then we have, found it.
You need the mic.
You're right. Thank you. Dale is a resident who's on the board. Herb and Bob also. The chair of the foundation board is Nancy Dean. And then we have some other non-resident members, Frank Barrett, Tom Wood, oh gosh, Joe Scheiman, who am I leaving out? Marie Spivey. Who did I leave out, Dale? Thank you. Phil Shank is now the incoming chair of the board. Nancy is getting ready to rotate off. For those of you, some of you might know Phil, former town manager. It's a great board. It's a very hard-working group of people who give a lot of their time very unselfishly, because it requires work to be on a board like that. And we have to review it. Yesterday we probably had about a 3-hour meeting, but we had a lot to go over. Other questions? Yeah, Amy.
When do you expect the capital campaign to be announced, and what can you talk about now?
Expect the capital campaign to be announced in June at the kickoff event that we're having, so you're getting a little advance notice, okay? The goal of the capital campaign is going to be $5.3 million over 3 years. Again, does that mean that everyone is going to be expected to write out a big check? No. And those gifts will be made in a lot of different ways. Planned giving will be a huge part of it. I know, I'll give you an example. A few years ago when I was working at the University of North Carolina, I was working with a donor on a pretty substantial gift. And this donor wanted to set up athletic scholarships, endow athletic scholarships. Well, he had a very creative way of doing it. He was an estate planning attorney, so he had a little bit of an advantage. But basically what he did was he set up a multi-year cash pledge, and he had a life insurance policy that he didn't need anymore. Fully paid up whole life insurance policy. It was worth about $500,000. So for the campaign, you add those two up, a 5-year pledge for, $500,000 and a gift of life insurance that for another $500,000, that's $1 million gift. That's what they call a blended gift. So a lot of gifts in campaigns come in through blended gifts and all kinds of other ways too. So it's not just immediately writing checks. Some of them are long-term pledges and planned gifts, of course. Very, very important. Did that answer that question?
I have a follow-up.
Go ahead.
How much has been raised so far for the capital campaign?
We are just getting started there. We're not there yet. We'd like to at least be, even if we don't have cash in hand, pledges, we're hoping to get some upfront pledges between now and the kickoff event. Yes?
What's the mechanism for allocating contributions among different funds that you outlined?
Good. Great question. During the annual appeal, don't worry, you're not going to have to remember all these funds. When the annual appeal goes out, there will be a donation form where you can check whichever fund or funds you would like to contribute to. And it's that easy. And there is a little description of each one and a checkbox. And you can give to the area that are areas that you're most fond of, or if you, the area that you think is in most need, such as the program fund that we talked about. Other questions? Yeah.
How do residents volunteer to serve on a fund? Say they have an interest in education or an interest in community outreach. How would they go about saying, hey, I'd like to be part of that?
Come see me. And it's that simple. We'll get you on the committee.
And maybe that should be on some of the mailings that go out so that people know they could be involved if they wish to be.
Oh, definitely. And again, we're just in the very early stages here, but we definitely want involvement. You know, we need people who are willing to give their time, their talents, and their donations. But that's a great point. Thank you. I would definitely emphasize that. Yeah, Irmgard?
Who initiates requests and disbursements out of the unrestricted fund?
Well, it can come from one of the, any of the other committees. If there's a project that someone wants to get going and there's not quite enough money to fund it out of the one particular fund. I'll give you an example. We worked recently on a gift where we had to take $30,000 out of the enhancement fund, but and we would still have a shortfall to get this project completed, and so I recommended that we take an additional 37 from the unrestricted fund. It can come from a variety of sources. It can come from me, it can come from one of the committees, it can come from the DRA, it can come from Kelly for that matter. If there's an urgent project that Kelly wants to implement and she doesn't have quite enough to handle it in her capital budget or whatever the case may be, she can make that request. So it can be any number of sources.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yeah.
How extensive is your audience? These people that live at Doncaster plus families?
Absolutely. Families, friends, vendors, people who external people. We're not just relying on people at Doncaster, the residents, to fund the campaign. It will be funded a great deal by residents, but not entirely. But we are definitely reaching out beyond just the people within these walls. Family, friends, again, corporate partners. Other questions? Come on, I know I wasn't that good. Now, you got to throw me a hard one. Dale, throw me a hard one.
Well, I was thinking, I know we talked about it, but it's interesting when you look at when all these various funds were created, they seem to occur in clusters of time rather than evenly spread out. Do you have any idea why that happens and how that can happen, whether it's here or just in general?
I think it just, as the organization evolved, a lot of these funds, keep in mind the foundation was set up in 1994, but if we went through some of these funds, you see that some of them were set up before 1994. A lot of them were set up by Doncaster Inc. prior to the foundation being set up, probably because they saw that that was a need. The Residence Assistance Fund, that was one of the earliest ones. You know, they quickly realized that they would need a Residence Assistance Fund if they were going to, particularly if you want to claim a nonprofit status as a 501c3. So, and then as other areas evolved, employee education, the Caleb Hitchcock Fund, I think as circumstances changed over time, there was a need for additional areas to focus on.
Is there also a way that a donor can not only give money to a specific area, but get some benefit for themselves?
You might want to be a little,
He's talking about a charitable.
I was getting ready to say, are you talking about a charitable gift annuity?
I'm asking you, is there a way to do it?
Oh, yeah.
There is. Now, with certain conditions, of course, you know, if you make if I write a $500 check to Doncaster today, and I say, well, in exchange for that gift, I want to get, upfront parking space for the next 6 months. You know, oh no. That's what you call a quid pro quo. And you can't, if you look on the receipt letters that I send out, what does it say at the bottom? No goods or services were, that's what that means. So in that regard, no, you cannot just give something back, and that's why they call it charitable. Charitable means you don't get anything back. But now in the case of a charitable gift annuity, that's different. And a lot of people confuse a charitable gift annuity with a commercial annuity, and they're totally different. The only thing they have in common is the word annuity. The better name of a charitable gift annuity is a life income gift. One is a commercial annuity is an investment. A charitable gift annuity is a charitable gift. However, you are allowed to basically, make a gift. Let's say you have $100,000 worth of stock, and you say, I'm going to donate that stock to Doncaster, and I want to get a lifetime income off of that stock, and then whatever's left at the end of my lifetime will go to Doncaster. That's legal, and that's a very popular way for people to give who are age 65 and over. Matter of fact, it's the most popular way. I had a donor one time years ago say, wait a minute now, I'm going to make a gift and you're going to pay me a lifetime income. How does that help you? And the reason is, at the end of the term, whatever's left comes back to the organization. And I always tell people when I do gift annuities, and I've done a bunch of them over the years, I hope it's a long time before we see that money. But that's a great way to make a gift that does benefit the donor, benefits the donor and the nonprofit. Yeah.
When was the last capital campaign and what was it for?
2012, I think it was, and it was for dining.
For what?
Dining.
Well, not,
2012, 2013, somewhere in there.
not just dining. I mean, it
Dining improvements.
was the whole addition of that
Correct.
terrace room.
Exactly. Right. Which was a very successful campaign. That's a good question. Thank you. Other thoughts, comments? Well, I've enjoyed doing this. I hope you've enjoyed it too. If you ever have a question, my door is always open. So if I'm in a meeting and the sign's on the door, well, come back. But please, but don't hesitate to ask me whatever questions that come to your mind later on. When the annual appeal goes out, if you have a follow-up question, I'm always here to help you.
Thank you.
But you all are what make this place great. And I'll close by saying this. I've done a lot of research on a lot of different people who've come through this place over the years, and it's amazing. Dr. Kamen, we talked about, is just one. There have been so many incredible people who have passed through this place, who have made this place what it is. And That's what I've really found very fascinating since I've come to work here. People who have I've read numerous biographies, and we have a research room up here in the archives that has all kinds of information on it. I spent a lot of time up there, and just learning about the people who live here now, but also the people who came before. And this place has got a rich history of very talented and generous and successful people. So you're part of that.
Caleb Hitchcock.
That's a good question. I'll have to, I don't know exactly who, that's a very good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
What's the question?
Who was Caleb Hitchcock?
Very.
Susan knows.
Caleb Hitchcock was the first medical practitioner in what is now Bloomfield, in what was then Wintonbury. He lived until 1818. He was born in the 1760s, and he was a doctor, the first doctor in this area. So that's why we named our medical facility after him. He's buried in the old churchyard behind the Congregational Church in Bloomfield Center.
Thank you. I've learned that today. See? We learn from each other, don't we? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Ron?
Barry, I'm a little confused. When you talk about committee or committees, how many are there and what are they?
Each one of the funds has a committee of residents that sits over, manages that fund. I work with each one of the committees. They review the requests, they approve or disapprove, and that's each one of them it's resident driven. That's one thing. Another thing I love about Doncaster is it's a very resident driven organization. It's not a top down management style here at all. It's bottom up, and I think that's tremendous. And the residents were the ones who got the foundation started years ago, and the residents are still the ones who are so involved to make this place what it is. And the committees are an example of that. Other questions? Yeah.
Well, I think it might be a great idea if anybody is on the program committee. You've talked about these people and how fascinating, and I think if we could have a display sometime of the pictures of past residents and a little biography underneath, it would be terrific.
That's a great idea. And there are some in the boardroom here there's a lot of...
For the past
Right.
parade, which is very interesting also. And I think it would make a marvelous, even if it was just a 1 week thing when our art show went down and we used 1 week just to spotlight before we go into major renovations, and just have
Who are some of the major people?
pictures or portraits of these folks in a little biography. I find it fascinating.
Maybe we could set up a gallery or something.
Right.
That would be great.
We do get
All right, let me look into that, see what I can do. See if I can come up with some, I have to get my hands on some of the photographs that are still around.
Barry, are you
Yeah.
planning on giving the same presentation in addition at other times?
Yes.
Obviously, there's people that
Yes,
should be here.
right.
Find it interesting, you are going to do that, okay.
Yes, I definitely want to do one on just, as we get closer, move into the campaign, I want to do one that's just, I sort of skimmed the surface of it today about the capital campaign. And I also want to do one in detail on plan giving. Plan giving is really where most of my experience has been over the years. And and there's so much to plan giving that I didn't talk about today. So I want to definitely have a session on that. And I think I'm also going to be doing this sooner or later before the Inc. board and the foundation board.
Good.
I think it would be good for those of us here that find this interesting and and important to spread the word that when you have the next one, it's something that they really should go and see.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, it's, yeah, by all means, please spread the word. And remember, if you don't remember anything else we talked about, when someone mentions capital campaign, think about this place. Don't confuse capital campaign and expansion. Two different things entirely. The capital campaign is about making this place where you live better. So I wanted to make that real clear today. Thank you so much.
Right.
That statistic you had about 1991 where we wanted additional 15 acres, I don't think that's where the expansion is.
Yeah, it is. I checked it. It was the land that the Inc.
No, don't worry about it, I'm not gonna hit you.
Let me see if I can get this straight. There was,
It's not on the other side.
no, it's the one up there. It's-
So that's, Carol, so he said he checked it, because if it is, then nobody would have anything in minutes in 1980 saying we weren't going to use it because we didn't own it.
Yeah, but at the larger parcel, we did.
Larger parcel, we did what?
I mean, we have more, I mean, the 15 acres is a small portion of the total acreage that we have.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure where it is.
Well, the 15 acres back in, I pulled the minutes.
90, you said 91. It was 15 acres and 91. That's what your
Yes.
You
presentation.
see, you know where they had the trucks and
Yeah.
the this and the that? That was the last parcel of land that we got. So
that, where the expansion is, they had that originally,
yeah,
so.
because it was zoned already.
Yeah, so that's why, I think we.
Anyway, I'm not 100%
Yeah, but,
sure, but I think so.
Hold on, let me pull back the slide.
So I think we should be careful about what we say, because I don't think that's part of the
Well,
expansion.
and the other thing I think we need to be careful is the people on the committee. They go through the nominating committee. They don't just walk up to you and become a member of a committee. They need to be nominated through the DRA. And then there are those like myself, who's a resident director, and I'm assigned as a board member to those committees, not as a resident. So I think we got to clarify some
Okay.
of those details.
I think I would welcome,
Yeah.
I think we do too. I don't,
Yeah.
I want people to feel involved, but obviously
Right.
it needs to be,
So the process.
go through a process,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think that I probably need to sit down with some of you and let's come up with that process.
No, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just interesting because,
Yeah.
people are saying that in 1980, we said we weren't going to build on the land, and when you said that's part of the expansion, that we didn't buy till 91, I don't
No,
think it's the property.
How to get
No,
this thing
well,
to go
anyway,
back? I thought it was.
to be looked at. Yeah,
Well, this much I can tell you, the land, there were several land transfers.
I'm gonna scoot, because I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
another
yeah.
thing.
Hold on a minute, let me see if I can get, there we go.
What? That fund, that's,
99.
99.
Yeah. So
So
that,
99 was when, basically, Inc., the foundation made a gift of a transfer of $4 million from the foundation to Doncaster Inc. And they paid $1 million for this land. And that land is the land that's out there.
but it could be the land that's across Mountain.
No, that land, that right there
And
is
who owned it before 99?
Doncaster Inc.
Oh, Inc. owned it.
so in.
Okay, yeah, see that,
The foundation bought it from Inc.
Why?
Because I think the Inc. needed the money, I think, at the time. And
Well, that should be clarified, that they purchased the additional acres from Doncaster Inc., not from the outside.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes a particular point
But
that
it-
the residents are complaining, that the Bloomfield residents are complaining
But no,
about.
we didn't purchase the land from anybody out in the community.
No, but I
already-
think because they're saying in 1980, we said we weren't going to use this land.
I know.
And that would imply that we didn't own it till 99, but what you're saying is it got transferred from Inc. to the foundation in 99.
That's when they were going bankrupt.
I don't know about bankrupt, but I think
So I
they-
think that should get
Yeah, that's-
clarified, and what
That's
happened,
when
that
we were in
transaction.
financial trouble.
Because it wasn't purchased from the outside.
it was more of a transfer than a purchase.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But, and I don't know when Inc. acquired the property. I would guess they acquired it during the initial, let's see. It had to be in the early days, I'm not sure.
Right, yeah.
But, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But that land, the August 99 land is the land that out
That's
here.
where it's-
That's where the expansion is
I thought maybe
being
it
planned.
was the one across the street.
No. It is definitely the land that's, out here at the corner of Mountain Road and Loeffler. The big field.
The fund that's the original begins with a C. The doctor who gave that,
Oh, the Cayman Fund.
somebody gave money, and I think you said he was a doctor or something.
That's Dr.
And it-
Cayman, yeah.
Yeah. What is that fund used for?
It supplements the endowment. It's a separate fund within the endowment.
No, but it supplements the endowment.
Yes,
Okay, I
separate
didn't know
fund.
if that was specified for
That is-
something important.
right. We don't give to the Cayman Fund. It's a fund that it was created by it's its own separate legal entity. It's a planned gift.
Yep.
So that it generates
Income that goes
investment
to-
income that goes to so people don't make gifts to the Cayman Fund. It
Okay,
generates.
that's what, yeah.
Right.
that's what I was
It's an endowed fund.
Okay.
But that's a
The
good
difference
question.
between an endowment and a,
I have a question about
Good question. Thank you, though. Yeah.
how long is it going to be before you're going to actually have designs about all this work that's going to be done?
Very, very soon.
Oh, really? So you'll make a presentation about that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I won't be doing that. That'll be done by the design consultant.
And so
They had one a few weeks ago, but that was more preliminary. They're going to have, we had one in February. They're going to have another one.
okay, so, but then you have a date approximate when it's going to happen? They're going to do all this?
When we want to start with
Yeah.
the work, we would like to be able to start this fall. But it depends on the approval process going through the town and all that kind of thing. It could very well, the original plans were to start by the fall, but, if not by the fall, certainly by the spring of next year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so,
Just curious, thank you.
thank you.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The churches, a long time ago, used to publish what people gave.
We don't do
And they
that,
used to, well, you're going to have a wall of people.
but not amounts. Names, but not amounts.
Yeah,
And-
but that's still
But a
called
person-
the wall of shame. I mean, because
now if a
if I
person-
decide to give, that's between me and Doncaster.
You can also request it to be anonymous.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just going to tell you that.
Well, I mean,
that
so, let me-
we don't call it, we call it the wall of shame.
Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that you wouldn't want your name up on that
No,
wall?
absolutely.
Even if you-
And I'm not even sure I will give if that is your policy.
So you're saying that, well, for the capital campaign, not for the, it's just but if,
I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about anything because what goes on with me and Doncaster is between us. It's nobody's business if I give.
Oh, yeah.
It's nobody's business
We
if
don't-
I don't give.
and we always ask people, do you want your name?
I know, but what
But-
you're going to do is publish name, well,
No. We're only
okay,
going
well, you better make that clear.
We're only going to, if people request, it's the same thing. If people want to make an anonymous gift, it's anonymous.
All right, well, you better make that,
It's not,
well, you better make that clear.
yeah, it's,
Because
because,
That's in our gift acceptance policy, that we, that you do not have to disclose your identity.
yeah,
No, I don't know how, I'm surprised.
well, as I say.
Is that what you thought? I
The
mean,
wall of shame,
Well,
because if your name isn't on there, then that's the wall of shame. Yeah,
I can see where you come from, even if,
yeah,
well,
no, it's nobody's business.
but yet at the same time, if people who give to a capital campaign want some form of,
Why? You know, I mean, that's a good question everybody should ask themselves. Why?
not everybody wants their name up there, but at least people want to be,
Well, their name is their only source of recognition.
yeah, and there's some people who want to see their name on that board, and there's some people who don't. But it's, yeah, and we try to,
Well,
it's, you can't make everybody happy, I guess. It's hard because,
No, but you set a policy. You set a policy, and
so you're saying that you don't like the idea of doing a wall.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, if people are going to be recognized for some wonderful thing they did, but not financial, because there are a lot of people here who can't afford it. Who can't afford it. And then to see names and theirs isn't there because they can't afford it. That's why we call it the wall of shame, because their names isn't there. So,
Well-
I mean, think twice about it.
Yeah, it's, but we don't want to just put the big donors up there either. We want to put everybody. So it's like,
Yeah, but not everybody can afford it, and that's why I'm saying that the people who can't afford it,
yeah, I hear
their
you.
names won't be there. So it is the wall of shame. So you learned a new expression.
Well,
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to Kelly about that.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean,
I don't want people to feel,
think-
it's just how do you know, the people who say, gee, well, I gave so many thousands of dollars and you can't even put my name up somewhere?
Why? Why do you want to be recognized for how much you give?
I guess for legacy.
Oh, please.
Well, I mean, like, right out here, on the wall, right there,
Where?
right here.
Banansiga.
Gross. This thing's disgusting. Now I gotta go wash my hands again. Disgusting. Gross. Disgusting.